finals. My name is Daniel Sifa Dracos. I'm joined by Ryan Frosker and Moore. Already into the thick of picks and bans, coming out left and right. But remember, Fang Gaming are up 2-1. This is match point for them, and everything is on the line for the Misfits if they want to find their way to a game 5.
Oh, wow. And here we go. Jinx goes through pick and ban again. It's going to be Callista, Rek'Sai, Kassadin, Urgot, Maokai, and Nunu are your bans. Fang Gaming is on the blue side. We talked about this before, but it didn't come to fruition. When Misfits were on blue side, they chose to first pick Maokai over the Jinx. They got crushed by Latman's performance, especially on his ending killing spree. This time around, again, Jinx gets through first pick. Fang Gaming immediately lock in this AD carry.
We'll have to see what the response is on the opposite side. I like the adaptation to ban out that Kassadin from Alex Each, Alberto. Figuring out what to pick in the jungle. Gragas is available. Rek'Sai, of course, taken off the board as well as Nunu, but looks like the quick Gragas and Thresh lock in for the side of Misfits. Ramelia finally getting her hands on her #1 champion, the only champion a lot of people know her for, and let's see if the Thresh Queen can show up. Seems like a pretty strong pick ban phase from Misfits already.
A lot of pressure certainly on her shoulders to perform on this champion. Her signature pick, likewise the fact that she will be staring down the Jinx pick, which has seen a ton of success in this series.
And I'm wondering if Fang Gaming are going to change anything here, or if they're going to try to go for a nearly identical composition. Obviously, the Thresh not available for them this time around, but it looks like they're mixing it up, and 14A grabbing that Sejuani. And for those of you who haven't had a chance to watch 14A play this quite yet, yesterday he was on point with those Glacial Prisons, landing every single one when it counted, hitting 3 members, and it's a big reason as to why they were able to come out on top over Cloud9 Tempest, and it looks like they're pretty determined to come out on top of Misfits and prove themselves to be the #1 team in the AlphaDraft Challenger League, potentially stacking up to the top teams across Challenger as a whole in North America. Lulu locked in as well. That one can still be a flex pick, though. We'll have to see where it ends up.
And let's just talk about this. The fact that we're even discussing that Fang Gaming are here in the finals and that they're at the game set winning point. When a lot of people considered them third place behind Misfits and Cloud9 Tempest. So definitely showing up and turning heads before the NACS qualifiers even kick off.
I cannot imagine an NACS without Fang Gaming at this point. And I don't think I could have made that statement a week or two ago. We are seeing the final hovers over an RF Legendary. Looks like he's going to take that Aurelia into the top lane. I think we've talked about this. Pretty much every top laner in this challenger scene plays Aurelia. Everyone is an Aurelia, has played Aurelia at some point, and this is the ultimate snowball champion and one of the better comfort picks for RF Legendary. This is an absolute mix-up from the side of Misfits.
The big thing when RF Legendary finally decided to go off and prove that he could also be a carry threat for Misfits was when he played Aurelia, and he went something like 9-0-3, just absurdly powerful. Made fantastic early pressure outplays 1v1 in the top lane, so we'll see if he finds the same success, especially because he's picking this blind. So picks like Gnar are still available, Hecarim is still available. Yes, he did see some nerfs on the most recent patch.
It looks like he's going to go toe-to-toe with
Lulu.
that Lulu. This is an interesting choice. Definitely a solid matchup in the early game for Lulu, as it usually is. But, of course, Ione and Fervor are going to reduce a lot of the CC that Lulu's able to provide to stop those engages. And if Lulu gets too confident, Equilibrium Strike can easily turn the lane around. Have to play careful still. Baby now on the Morgana. On the opposite side of this matchup from what we saw last time, we'll have to see how comfortable Baby is on this pick. And no one has ever, I think, made it out of lane phase without taking at least 3 or 4 hooks to the face against Ramelia, and I'm wondering if Baby can be the exception here, or if they may find themselves, for the first time, really, in a losing lane.
And likewise, like you said, taking that Morgana, so taking the answer and the counter pick to the Thresh, the last pick lock-in will be Ziggs for Alex. And we haven't really touched a lot about the fact that Stixie locked in Caitlyn. So Caitlyn hasn't seen a ton of play. Obviously, it's been kind of the rotation of Sivir, Jinx, Lucian, Callista. See if this is going to be a plausible answer to Jinx. Obviously, Caitlyn has her massive range, and she's able to really punish right there, but kind of lacks in a lot of areas that some other AD carries really specialize in. Her dueling potential lacks her range. I mean, obviously, Jinx is going to outrange her at max rockets. Siege potential.
This is I mean,
I feel like she's
honestly,
just second place to so many categories across the board.
it's definitely a tough spot to be in. But I mean, if it means winning laning phase and finding an advantage, it could be the difference between Misfits coming out on top and winning this and taking this to a game five, or just getting dropped out right here. Of course, Ziggs has been a pretty popular pick. We've seen it banned against Bishu repeatedly, and now Alex Each is able to pick it up here, uncontested for the majority of this matchup. Much more focused on those control mages and those assassins. But Golden Glue once again on Orianna. Frank Fan Gaming have a substantial advantage in that they just ran this comp. They know how it's supposed to work. They know how to execute it. And it feels like Misfits, I don't know if this is something that they practice with. This looks like them defaulting to comfort picks in this kind of time where they really just need to pull out a win.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It does look like comfort picks, and we have to always go back to the fact that they do have a sub in that ADC lane. So obviously, replacing Intense, they will have Jibus coming in, and he's not here. So relying on Stixie filling up that sub position. And to be frank, it's kind of been hit or miss, especially in the synergy in the bot lane. So we'll see if these comfort picks are able to carry them through this.
We'll have to see indeed, guys. Of course, going to count down through the rest of that spectator delay. In the meantime, head on over to wellplayed.org/giveaway. Set yourself up with the potential to win a new Razer peripheral set. That's a mouse, a keyboard, a mouse pad, and a headset, all chroma. Change them to your favorite team color. Change them to your favorite colors. Whatever you want to do. But we'll be back in a few minutes for sure. See you here for Game 4 in just a few. All right, everybody, welcome back to Game 4 of the Grand Finals of the AlphaDraft Challenger League. My name is Daniel C. Fedrakos. I'm joined once again by Ryan Frosker and more. 5 members of Misfits barreling down the bottom side. Everything is on the line for these guys. If they drop one more game to Fang Gaming, they are out. They will finish second place and give up $3,000. Ramelia already getting the quick flash. We won't even go through the lineups. You guys know what's going on. You know what's at stake. A massive difference between these two teams and the most aggressive level 1 we've seen throughout this whole series.
And like you said, trading the flash, the support for the 80 carries flash, and that's actually quite a big turn of events, especially because it's on that Jinx. So obviously, Ramelia can be a target right there. That said, Jinx is the priority here that they need to shut down. And without that flash, a very immobile ADC. We'll see if an early gank will get off to kind of compensate for this.
But she did get the first ward kill, and that's
what counts.
That's really the 1 CS advantage is going to make the difference. If only wards gave XP and it meant a faster level 2. We're going to have to see what Misfits do with their resources. All 5 members are still on the bottom of the map, and what exactly they want to do with this team comp. We talked about how in Fang's Gaming's game that they kind of struggled with, they had that triple threat team comp, and this one kind of in a similar vein for Misfits. They have Aurelia, they have Ziggs, they have Caitlyn, a triple threat comp for themselves, and do you think this plays to their individual strengths, or is this more just kind of like a last desperate maneuver here?
I think it plays to their strengths, and likewise, it's about putting themselves on those comfort picks, especially because they are playing with the sub. It's better just to play what you're comfortable on, so you can focus on communication rather than perfecting your role on your champion as well as trying to communicate and orchestrate everything with your sub.
Ooh, and some trading back and forth in the top lane. Brandon for the win. Not intimidated, but Hatman and Baby sure are not wanting to approach Ramelia whatsoever. Knowing that Jinx's flash is down, and Alberto headed down to the bot lane as well. A lot of attention here. 14A clearing out the jungle. And this bot lane is already getting shut down pretty hard. Caitlyn and Thresh just zoning them out completely.
Well, we'll have to be very cautious, especially level 1 against Caitlyn and Thresh, because Caitlyn does have that absurd range and can abuse it very easily. As soon as Morgana gets an extra point, has her Black Shield available to them, they'll be able to approach that creep wave and do more here.
Sejuani moving down to secure her own jungle, but has to be careful here. Alberto and Ramelia are taking up this red buff. This could be first blood if Sejuani isn't careful. Looks like not going to get spotted out. Alberto is headed up, though. He has double buffs. He can't engage here. 14A could be in trouble, taking advantage of that Sejuani early clear, bullying him out of the jungle. Some excellent early map movement here from the Misfits.
And obviously, just abusing the fact that Sejuani has such a weak and very slow early clear. It was also a beautiful pathing by Ramelia to make sure that she dropped vision and left the lane through the back of it, as opposed to walking out in front of the creeps. So they had really no idea that Thresh had entered to help leash that red buff. So great play from both Alberta and Ramelia to make that steal possible and to force the flash at a 14A.
Now, of course, Sejuani not going to hurt too bad after losing that red buff, but it will limit the impact that 14A can have on the map, and 14A has been such a crucial player for this team. We'll have to see what he can do without it. May still be able to pull some ganks off. Brandon for the win, though, could be in trouble. RF going in, Equilibrium Strike going down just to slow this time around, but the double buff for Alberto means he's going to be able to lock Brandon for the win down. Does still have Flash, not even going to use it. First blood over to RF Legendary. What was it you said? 9-2 and something performance? Well, he's well on his way now. First blood at 4 minutes.
And this is what we were talking about. Misfits hinge on Crumb's success and his ability to get involved with the team, but meanwhile, bot lane, actually, jungle.
I mean, Alberto just shutting 14A out of the jungle, and 14A, despite the fact that he has consistently hit Sejuani ultimates, he may not even make it to level 6 at this point. He's getting bullied off of every single camp. Has not gotten anything since Alberto took that red buff.
Again in the bot lane.
Black Shield not going to block out that one. Latman, with just a sliver of health left, not quite able to finish that one up, is going to back off here and lose so much farm as a result. Caitlyn already building a massive lead. And in the top lane, Aurelia also farming pretty comfortably.
And really, it's just, I mean, obviously, Stixie and Ramelia played the level 1 fantastic to give them this absurd lead to allow them to bully out now at the level 4. But more importantly, it's the fact that Alberto got so far ahead in tandem with Ramelia, making that roam onto the enemy red buff, and how that's just impacting the map oppressively across the board. Ganking up into the top lane, making sure that the kill went onto RF Legendary so the jungle didn't take it back, but putting 14A that far behind.
And of course, 14A, this is really the first time he's been behind in the early game. Mostly these jungles have each kind of stayed to their own separate sides. Not a whole lot of counter jungling, not a whole lot of early invades. First time we've seen this from Misfits, and it looks like it's really paying off for them. This early aggressive, early forward map movement. Brandon for the win. We get back a little bit of the CS difference here into the tower, but 37-22, and Misfits already with about a 1K gold lead. Half of that's going to be that kill, and the other half is going to be the massive farm difference in top lane and in bottom as well.
I'll go in the mid lane.
Ooh, the hook going to land on a Golden Glue. Golden Glue is level 6, but it may not be enough. Play is coming out. They are going to back off of that one. Golden Glue not giving up any sums there, but Amelia, I don't even think we've seen her miss yet.
See how she does back into this bottom lane.
Kind of just a passive early game from both sides. Of course, Thresh moving down. Brandon for the win, still suffering in these trades. RF going huge here. He could find the kill, flashing in for that one. Not going to be able to finish it off, though. Trade of flashes there for both these guys. Teleport down for Lulu, though. Alberto going to find this one. 14A. Not going to be able to get anything back in response. And RF pushing in as well means 14A is going to have to run here. And the early snowball from Misfits is insane. We've yet to see this from them today, and it's working out so well in their favor.
This is the crumbs that we were expecting, the one that we were calling for at the beginning of this series. It's so key to Misfits' success that he get involved as early as possible, making these early game plays, being on a champion like Gragas, and just dominating the map.
Yeah, Sejuani not really fitting his style. He plays it like an herbivore, and it just doesn't work out for him. But now on Gragas, able to make so many plays, able to crush 14A Sejuani, and kind of that Rek'Sai ban turned against them as they're forced onto a more defensive jungler start. And we'll have to see what 14A can do moving forward, but right now, they're just so far behind already. Just a massive difference in gold here, and difference in items in the bot lane as well, as Jinx goes down to about a 20 CS deficit.
That said, the answer for Fang Gaming is to turn onto this dragon, so we do see their top laner, Brandon for the win, as well as 14A on the pit. There's 0 wards from Misfits, so this should be a free, easy objective.
Showing confidence with the gold lead, of course, now extending to about 2K after that second kill. Getting a little something back from the dragon. Lulu will have TP to make it back to the top lane if Aurelia decides to stop freezing, but that wave kind of stacked against him as Aurelia just continues to zone Lulu off of this completely. She doesn't even need to be in top lane at this point. There is nothing for her there.
Big thing about that dragon, obviously, was the fact that Golden Glue was able to pressure forward Alex and push him in to make sure that Ziggs couldn't wander over to the dragon pit.
Now, of course, 14A doing a little bit better this time around. Will get level 6 shortly, but just struggling to clear out his own jungle at this point as well. And Crumb's already so dominant, putting down so much vision for the Misfits. Multiple pink wards already laid down between him and Alex each in the mid lane. Cinderhold finished up as well, and this chilling smite for Gragas has been so key in these ganks, and it feels like Crumbs is just executing so well. But still, I haven't seen Misfits transition this lead into really anything quite yet.
Hook finds on Latman, but it is blocked by a spell shield. Like we said, Ramelia hasn't really missed any of these hooks, certainly living up to her signature champion, or signature name as the Thresh Princess. And just look at how far back she can force Latman and Baby to stand, just threatening with that death sentence.
Brandon for the win. Backing out of that one. Alberto hanging off to the side here. May be able to find something. We'll have to see. Playing so aggressive, putting so much pressure on the top side, and it's clear that it looks like this team that has talked it out and said, RF Legendary, we want you to carry. We want you to find it there. Batman, though, in trouble himself. Ooh, coming in with the Soul Shackles. He may find something. The exhaust going down. Oh, the 90 caliber net coming in,
wow.
But it's not going to be enough. A beautiful combo from this team, and Fang Gaming has never looked better than in that instance. Tying it up in the kill score instantly, and now moving to take this bottom tower as well.
A great read from Baby right there to make sure that he followed Thresh. So when Stixie followed the lantern back to him, that the chain CC still landed, and then just the wombo combo immediately 14A was there, despite being so behind, forced out of his own jungle, follows up with a beautiful Glacial Prism into a teleport. Like you said, the fact that Brandon for the win, there's nothing for him in that top lane. And yes, it leads to a couple kills for Frank Fang Gaming that transitions into a stolen blue buff, but this surely will be a free top tier tower for RF anytime he wants.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind that the advantage present right now for Misfits is all RF Legendary. It is all that 44 CS lead, 45 CS lead, and it's only going to continue to grow too, as Lulu's just really going to struggle here. Level 6 Lulu to level 9 Aurelia. That is absolutely insane.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean anything if RF isn't in any of these team fights, which I think is what you were trying to imply at the very beginning there, is the fact that Brandon for the win teleported down, but RF didn't follow, and so this this lead, if he's not in any of the team fights, pretty much means nothing.
Definitely, but of course, Alberto trying to push this pick further and further ahead here. Lulu just backing off of that one, getting a good read on the jungler to back off here, and I've never seen a top laner completely isolated out of their lane, and this is exactly what's happening here, as Lulu can't even find a jungle camp to get. Dropping down a little bit of vision to hope to give him some respite, but it's not going to be enough, and 93 to 47 now as the CSC continues to grow, a 50 lead in the favor of RF Legendary.
Well, it's so dangerous even right now for Brandon for the win to approach his tower now that the wave is crashing down onto it. He pretty much just wants to give it away to RF Legendary. Make sure that he pushes it and then freeze and hold it, which is why we see him kind of returning to that mid lane, simply because if he was on the top tower, there's nothing to stop RF from diving him, especially because Alberto is also kind of threatening underneath.
Definitely. We'll have to see if he can find his way back to top lane now that that tower is down. Maybe find a little bit of safe farm. If he can freeze it out, of course. Bot lane still remaining relatively even. The massive CS difference mitigated mostly by that kill. Actually, a slight gold lead for Jinx due purely to that early Avarice Blade. So relatively even on both sides. We'll have to see if they can find another gank here. Stixxay in trouble. He does get locked down by the binding. Not sure if it's going to be enough. Is going to make it out of that one. Flash coming out for Latman. Hook coming in as well, but the Black Shield going to stop that. Flash traded for Flash, and neither side going to walk away with anything. But Latman and Baby already looking stronger and stronger as we move forward in this game.
Beautiful lantern from Ramelia to allow 60 to walk away from that. Unfortunately, a mechanical fumble from Latman. He actually had his auto attack primed and ready to go before he released his rocket, but he canceled it and released the rocket. If he had just let it go, he would have gotten the kill right there. But great response from Ramelia to pull her 80 carry to safety.
Well, now this bot lane's looking pretty strong. The CS just about evened up, and Jinx slowly and steadily building a gold advantage. Caitlyn picking up an Avarice Blade of her own. Still a 300 advantage over this Jinx, and that could be the difference between a completed Infinity Edge and one not having. Of course, the boot's also present, though. So we'll have to see, but I feel like the first 80 carry to finish Infinity Edge is just going to have such a massive advantage.
Well, anytime you introduce crit into your damage output, you effectively, or you theoretically, can double the damage that you're putting out. So it's definitely a massive power spike.
Let's see. Could get collapsed on here. Thresh and Gragas on the backside. Of course, Aurelia here as well. They have to be careful. I don't think they know Aurelia is here. 14A getting hooked. Black Shield coming in. It may not be enough. RF has the Trinity Force. Is so powerful right now. Dragon spawning in just a few seconds. Are they going to be able to find the engage, or will they back off here? Looks like they may just back off on the side of Frank Fang Gaming.
Misfits certainly looking to get their first dragon. Now, the big thing about RF Legendary going off in this Aurelia pick, especially historically through the beginning of this series, when Jinx gets going, the issue is that there was never an answer to the hyper carry ADC in the backline. There was always Vladimir's or Evelyn's or things like that that could flank but really couldn't just like stick to the backline and lock it down with definite CC. A fed Jinx versus a fed Aurelia, that Aurelia is going to win every single time. So there's a perfect answer on the side of Misfits for this Jinx pick that has seen such success throughout this series.
And there's a lot of pressure on our Legendary. We'll have to see if he can execute, of course. He got some insight into how the team works. And our Legendary, considered a pretty positive guy, has a good attitude about the game overall, and of course that's going to pay off for him even in these best of 5 sets, or especially in these best of 5 sets. You see 14A, Alberto starting to trade back and forth here. 14A determined to get something back after all the early aggression that came down from Alberto. They're trying to turn this one around. Shockwave coming out. Alberto going to flash out Not sure if they're going to be able to find it. Red buff going down, body slam coming through, the rocket coming through as well, and that's 14A getting the revenge back onto Alberto for those early aggressive plays from him in the first few minutes.
Unfortunately, Crumb's walking into the enemy jungle when he didn't have the side lanes for support right there. Alex obviously not able to walk over, but hold on. RF
That's
going
an
hard.
Insane burst of damage, but the big flash over the wall. RF could be in trouble. He is going to make it out of that one with just a sliver of life, but flashes exchanged. Tixay now in trouble on the bottom side. Going to make it out of those chompers, but oh my. Sheen on Aurelia is insane. That was the biggest burst of damage I've seen in a long time, but Tixay could be in trouble. Has to flash out. Bot lane. So close right now.
Big issue, though, is that RF had the flash available, so he could have tried to follow for Brandon for the win and find the cleanup kill. Instead, he burns the flash to exit the tower aggro.
Questionable. Flash over the wall may have been able to pull off the same thing, but I don't think he expected the flash from Brandon for the win. I think he expected a flash backwards. Didn't think he could make it over that wall, so maybe a little bit thrown off. Maybe a little bit nervous to pursue too far. Might not have known exactly where 14A was if he was close enough to respond. But a defensive play, not gaining too much for it though. And the CS lead still massively in RF's favor. But I mean, Lulu at the end of the day can just be a support if she needs to be. It's not going to affect her too much.
That said, poor Brandon for the win. His itemization, he's pretty much got a bunch of ingredients, but nothing completed and 0 boots whose names will across the board. Not only is there close to a double CS discrepancy of the 153 to 71, but Aurelia has that fully completed Trinity Force, and that's the big power spike for her.
And it's not close to double in a good way. It's close to double in a bad way, where if he gets a few more CS, Aurelia will be a double.
It'll literally be double, yeah.
Yeah, he has to get more CS to get doubled. Aurelia has more than double the CS right now, and that's just so ridiculously oppressive. And it's just going to be hard for them to find something if they let this Aurelia continue to scale. Golden Glue, though, may have something to say about this. They're pushing in here. Wild Growth coming out. Golden Glue taking so much damage. Shockwave, I don't know if it's going to be enough. RF does so much here. Is going to go down. It is the 1-for-1 trade, though. RF Legendary going down to Brandon for the win. They may trade their mid turret, but Brandon going to be able to complete at least one item off of that kill.
Completely worth for Misfits right here. I mean, at this point, if your top laner is so big that the enemy team needs to expend multiple resources to deal with them, and you get free damage or a free tower or free whatever in response, you'll take that trade every single time. So Misfits are in a perfect position right here.
Tell us the Gragas Hero coming out, trying to see if he can take away those creeps as they go in onto Alberto. The pass coming off over the wall, trying just to steal something. Not going to get it. Alberto could be in trouble. Ooh. Coming in there on the ace in the hole, but not going to find anything. Amelia missing her first hook on the predictive hook. Of course, didn't know where that target was.
Ooh, rocket?
Rocket.
Nope.
Ooh. So close. Dixay every time with those bindings. Don't know if it's going to be enough. Not able to make it there. The flash in. Gonna get the lockdown. Once again, the wombo comes through. Rinse and repeat for Fang Gaming. A beautiful coordination of ultimates there, and I thought for sure Baby had traded his life for nothing, but they find something back. RF, though, is in this fight. Amelia lands the hook when it counts. The play coming in. That's one dead Jinx. RF Legendary unstoppable now as he rips through this lineup. No one there to shut him down, and 3-1 and 2 that scoreline. The creeps just aiding him in his pursuit of 14A, walking out of that shockwave. Amelia, another hook, finds it onto Golden Glue. RF can go in here, has to be careful. Ripping through them as well. RF Legendary 4-1 and 2. That's one fat Aurelia.
Can we talk about Morgana, though? Obviously, the team fight at the very end of there went to Misfits' favor with some fantastic Thresh play and a great teleport from RF Legendary to get involved in the back half of that. But Baby's play on Morgana to flash after a hit. He walked himself past his target, which was Stixie's Caitlyn, then flashed to follow the Lantern to find the chain CC, again into 14A's Wombo combo. Just amazing to watch.
And an impressive play to be sure, but we have to remember that they've sacrificed so much for those kills onto Jinx, and while Jinx is scaling quite well and pretty comfortably despite a pretty massive CS deficit, it's still a 5k gold lead just about in the favor of Misfits, and this is an especially dominating performance from them, and RF on this hard carry absolutely showing up this time around.
A majority of this gold discrepancy is actually from the CS across the board. RF Legendary, of course, is the big one with a 70 CS lead on his opponent, but likewise in the mid lane and the ADC position, 216 to 191, 145 to 176.
And understand that they're part of the reason that all the CS has been accrued is not just, you know, competency in farming, but also just because...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Alberto applying pressure in so many lanes where characters actually can't step forward to trade effectively, you know? And, like, this is... If they had stayed, a lot of that would have been kills instead, but they have to sacrifice farm instead of sacrificing their lives.
And it's beautiful, too, because he didn't actually have that many successful ganks in the lanes themselves. It's simply that he went into the enemy jungle and he put 14A behind. He didn't have to gank every single lane to put an individual advantage there. He just needed to punch the other jungler in the face.
Red buff going down to 1 health. Punching that one in the face real quick. And 14A is recovering slowly but surely. 1-0-3 now, that scoreline. Seeing him hit consistently on those glacial prisons, but you know, it really did. They have been hurt by this early game, and you can see that pretty much solely manifested in this top lane and in the Luden's Echo present on Ziggs in the mid lane. What a massive itemization advantage.
I love the Luden's Echo on Ziggs. So Luden's Echo is effectively the AP static shiv. I feel like we've covered this a lot, but it's the AP static shiv, and how it procs is the more abilities that you throw out, the more often that you get your Luden's Echo proc. So obviously it's going to favor champions that will have spammable abilities. So Ziggs is the perfect champion. He's a what we like to call, again, a sustain mage. So he's going to continually throw out his rotation, and he's going to find more and more Luden's Echo's proc and get more damage out of that item than, say, other mages, especially because on his most recent buff, his Q cooldown was reduced.
Definitely a powerful champion, and you can see it's just ripping through the smaller raptors right there. It clears that one out. Potentially the big one as well. Let's see if he got that, but pretty frustrating if he did, obviously, for 14A on that Suvani. Looks like 14A just smited it away to secure it. And right now, Misfits looks so dominant. There's like nothing that the opposing team can do to stop them right now, and RF can pretty much just walk wherever he wants to, and if all 5 members want to greet him, yeah, they'll kill him, but every other member of the Misfits can just take something else in response.
Well, he's able to do this right now because they're effectively in skirmish mode, whereas since everyone's still spread out, team fights are going to be 3v3s, 2v2s, maybe a 4v4 or 4v3 at max. It's when Frank Fang Gaming gather up and they have the big 5v5 where they're able to use the utility of Brandon for the win on top of Latman as well as the Glacial Prison to its fullest extent. And find like these big AoE team fights that Frank Fang Gaming are going to find a lot of success. Versus Aurelia being really strong and having this skirmish potential. So Frank Fang Gaming need to grow up as quickly as possible, and Misfits are, you know, still free to kind of sit out, elongate their lane phase, find their CS lead discrepancies, and let RF kind of run away with the game.
He's happy to do that. You can see maintaining that 60 CS lead on the top side, despite all these action going down. A 50 CS lead now for Alex Each on the bottom side of the map as well. Amelia hovering close to that bush, maybe hoping to catch someone off guard with one of those traps. No real major engages from either side, but a 6k gold lead now in the favor of Misfits as those farm leads continue to extend, and just running out of options on the side of Frank Fang Gaming. Even the flashy plays from Baby may not be enough. Flash plays from Amelia, though, coming in. The exhaust coming down. Not sure if it'll be enough as well. Both TPs coming in. This fight is going to continue. RF on the backside, they have to be careful. Brandon for the win, isolating himself off, and I don't think anyone can contend with that Sivir. Sorry, not that Sivir, that Aurelia. And the rocket coming out, the awkward flash there. Alberto going to try to find a way to push him back in the fight. It's going to be enough. 6A grabbing yet another kill. Golden Glue will go down here. RF on a killing spree, 5-1-3. Backing off for this one. Ace in the hole going to get blocked out, but Alex Each is not done yet as he pushes in for more. 3 members getting dropped. Misfits pushing in here, 5-10 the kill score, but a 7k gold lead on the back of an amazing fight from the Misfits.
And again, despite the fact that all 10 members were available in that area, it truly started out as a 2v2 or 2v3 situation. So it started out as a skirmish. Frank Fang Gaming weren't there all together at the same time to, again, use their ultimates effectively. The Wild Growth was used defensively on Lulu as opposed to Latman. The Glacial Prism wasn't locked up for any follow-up damage, but Ramelia flashed through the Dark Binding to find the play on her target.
Absolutely insane play. 3-1-3 that Thresh scoreline. 5-1-3 on the Aurelia. Ramelia This is why people ban the Thresh. This is why she does not get to play Thresh, and I'm blown away by the phenomenal mechanical performance on the side of Misfits, and Frank Fang Gaming tried to find something, but they are running out of options, and it's going to take a lot for them to find a way back into this game.
They need to secure their own jungle, and they need to group up, and they need to find a 5v5. I know I keep saying that, but they effectively haven't gotten one yet. Everything's been reactionary and been mismatched team fights showing up in the back half of things, trying to pick up kills to salvage fights, things like that. And the only way that they can do that is they secure vision so they're not caught off guard.
Misfits, not too much deep wards here, but of course a lot of defensive vision on the side of Frank Fang Gaming. Doing what they need to, as you said, to kind of secure their own jungle, to kind of stay safe. Jinx pick starting to heal up, Static Shiv, Infinity Edge. Last Whisper, not super necessary yet, no real armor items on the opposite side, but let's see what they decide to itemize here. Caitlyn. Keep tripping over these 80 carries. 1, 2, and 3, but an item ahead of this Jinx. No finished tier 2 boots, but the extra range kind of mitigating the difference there.
And that's pretty huge, just because Caitlyn has now her 3 core items of the 80 carry complete, whereas Jinx is effectively waiting on 2,300 extra gold to complete that last Whisper. There's not a ton of armor on the other side, but again, it's having that core item so that the 80 carry is up to speed and ready to go. Likewise, the same thing can really be said for Orianna, that she needs about 3 items before she becomes that big powerhouse. Whereas the other big point to Ziggs and the fact that he's able to go straight into Luden's Echo is that he doesn't really need a core. I mean, Athene's is going to be relatively core to him just because he needs so much mana to be able to spam, but it's not like a Cassiopeia where you're relying on the tier or you need like specific items to get your core set up and then you can go into Luden's. He can go into it right out of the gate just like Ahri. So it makes that item even more effective on him because he's able to get it that much earlier and to abuse the power and the wave clear.
And of course, Luden's as well, the scaling is okay, but the base damage is huge if you get it early enough, and you can see how well that's working out for them. And I like the Luden's Echo as well, and it's nice to see that show up on the Ziggs pick here. And Ziggs not normally something we see from Alex Each, but clearly working out well.
I think the last time he played it was actually against Frank Fang Gaming as well. I'm trying to remember, he had like 100 CS on his opponent. And he never left the middle lane.
That's a golden glue lane.
Was it a golden glue lane?
Yeah, that sounds like golden glue is an absolutely excellent player, but if there's one thing that has been consistent in the matches between the Misfits and Frank Fang Gaming, it's that golden glue has fallen behind in CS. And yeah, that was definitely the Frank Fang Gaming game. It was a tough loss for them, for sure, but Alex Each on that Ziggs, you know, you have to be careful what you give him and what impact you let him have.
Ooh, especially because he walks up behind Latman. Look at that damage.
Ooh, so close. Latman, the sole carry for this lineup. Not going to be able to do anything there. Ace in the hole going to get blocked out, but a fast kill for Alex Each. And he wanted a 5v5 team fight. We're not going to have it, and it looks like Misfits should be able to push in here. They can take whatever they want. They want Baron. They want tier 2. It's theirs. Nothing can stop them.
And again, we see Alex by himself. So the team is on Baron. It is warded. Frank Fang Gaming know exactly what's up, but in a side lane, particularly in the mid lane, it's Alex solo with the tower.
And Stixxay just does enough damage to take this one out. Alberto as well, with that Drunken Rage, kind of just gets to hit, take massive chunks of the Baron Nashor health bar. And I mean, Ziggs alone does so much damage at this point that no one can really approach him. And of course, RF Legendary, it takes so much for them to shut it down. And a quick flash burned out in the mid lane, having to dodge that hook from Romelia.
With this Baron now, Misfits are applying it through every single lane. The most important tower on the map for them, as far as control is concerned, would be that second tier mid tower. So we'll see if they consolidate their resources there and look to push that one down. It is very low health.
10k gold advantage. Clearing out the waves the best they can. No member there to give them the Baron empowered buff. Not sure exactly what Misfits are trying to go for here. This is match point for them, and we've talked about in the past how they like to get the 5 dragons into the Baron, into the Banner of Command, and I mean, if there's a game that's appropriate for you to do that, it's the game where if you lose, you're out. So, won't be surprised to see them play it slow here. I don't think they have to with this 11 or 10k gold lead, but they might, just to be safe.
do have a bit of a technical issue with the players. We'll be sure to get right back into the game as soon as possible.
A summoner has reconnected.
Excited, Sifa?
Tired, but very excited. I never thought Game 5. I thought maybe Game 4. I thought we might get here but if we get to Game 5, if Misfits can close this out, this will be without a doubt one of the most hyped sets I have ever cast. I mean, just think about all the turnarounds that we've seen. The beautiful team fights, the beautiful engages from Fang Gaming, and just the same on the opposite side for Misfits. It's absolutely crazy how well these guys can execute these team fights, and I'm just seriously impressed by both these lineups.
We are back in game, however. There were some pings up to the top side on that from Misfits right there. So we'll see how they manage their resources around this map and look to pressure down these two towers.
Of course, Misfits incredibly strong with this Baron buff, continue to push in. They have a strong team, competent in sieging and Stixay, tanking the necessary turret shots to make that one happen. And it's going to be hard for Misfits, or sorry, not Misfits, Fang Gaming to do anything to defend this. Ziggs just does too much damage. A rocket coming in to try to discourage anything further, but look at those health bars just disappear under the power of Alex, each that Lugen's Echo and that Death Cap. Oh, the engage on a 60, though. They may find something. That is the pick. We'll have to see if they can follow it up with anything else. 14A. Blackfield coming through. Ramelia on a rampage now. 4-1 and 3, and RF on the bottom side. So they find a kill, but what is it really worth as they lose this inhibitor? It looks like they may lose the mid lane turret next. Berto has to be careful here, though.
The issue, though, is that RF Legendary is still so strong. So yes, they did pick up a free kill, but like you said, at what cost? They lost their inhibitor, and unfortunately, if this Aurelia is in a team fight, they completely have to just let it go, especially with so many key ultimates down. The Shockwave and the Glacial Prism no longer available to trade for Stixie.
And if only it was Frostblade Aurelia, let it go would be the perfect joke, but it's not.
I'll sing.
Don't do it. It's been too long of a day of casting. I will be overwhelmed, as Golden Glue clearly overwhelmed himself. The raw damage output from Alex Each is just in. You ever Ziggs is that sustained damage, that zoning champ. He does a lot, but getting one shot by a Ziggs is never how you expect a game to go. So Golden Glue left wondering what's going to happen here, and Misfits just slowly but surely closing out this game.
I think Prawley said it best, obviously a big Ziggs player when he was playing in the LCS. He said, Ziggs is one of those champions where everyone thinks that he's supposed to be played defensively and everyone plays him defensively as kind of the passive sit-back and farmer. But if you look at his kit, he believes that everyone plays Ziggs wrong because Ziggs has so many tools to play aggressively. He's got the added damage on his auto attack. He has the satchel charge, the ability to jump into people or to kite back from people, so just kind of curious, and we saw Alex go full man mode on his Ziggs right there. A perfect choke point ultimate, seeing that Golden Glue had walked in between that narrow tree corridor so that there was zero escape from the Mega Infernal Bomb.
And there's just nowhere safe for this lineup to be. You misstep, you're gonna find, you're gonna find Alex Each, and he's gonna one combo you down, or you're gonna find RF Legendary, and he will kill everyone if you don't have all your cooldowns available. And this is what a 12k Goldie looks like with an Aurelia on your team. There is nowhere safe for Fang Gaming, and they're clearing out these waves on the top side, but all those towers are going to be gone in just a matter of minutes. Misfits looking absolutely unstoppable.
And then the question becomes, how do Fang Gaming change up their lineup for the next game? Because it looks like this is surely going to go to a Game 5, and I feel like the answer is it's really 14A and Crumb's performance that have dictated the majority of these victories and or defeats, and it's really in the early game playmaking.
Without a doubt, and we'll have to see what they can do here. Oh, two-man Shockwave, the free kill on a Stixay. No follow-up, no pressure anywhere else means for once the pick there for this team is actually a pick. Now a 4v5. Said we'd see this tower go down in a few minutes. Looks like we might have a bit of a delay on that. Stixay getting picked off. No good for the Misfits lineup. Have to see if they try to go in anyway, though. Jinx forced to clear out the waves here. Has to back off from this tower.
Golden Glow doing his best. It's always very difficult and very terrifying to siege into an Orianna, especially one that has her 3 items complete, the Athene's Death Cap and the Void Staff.
Not sure exactly what's going to happen here. This could go wrong in an instant.
The wave just getting cleared out too early. Effectively, what they're looking for is Remilio needs to approach and to find a good death sentence, or maybe Alberto can flash forward and find or separate someone out with a cast. But because the wave is just getting depleted too quickly, it's just left for Alex to continue to poke down, and hopefully they'll whittle away at the tower, but unfortunately they're just not connecting with any of their skill shots.
And I'm wondering if there's any hope left for Frank Fang Gaming. They are clearing out the waves, but is it enough? No, there's no wave clear here this time around. They finally find the circumstance. Are they going to be able to take this one out? The hook lands onto 14A. He could go down here, not taking too much damage. Our legendary is on the bottom side of the map. Ooh, a massive spike there on that Mega Inferno bomb. Shot coming in as well. Oh! Baby! Impulse to block as a support there, but giving his life for nothing. And this is surely going to be Misfits ending the game as they grab the tower, push in for the third inhibitor. Trying to find the engage here, though. Stixay in trouble. Going to get out of that one. Making his way away from that. Alberto, the sole target of that shockwave, getting taken down. Everything balanced on a knife's edge here, but our legendary is pushing down the mid lane. He's taking out those inhibitor towers, and no one can stop him. Only about a quarter of his life bar being ripped through here. Alex each waddling away from this Jinx. Not to make it out, but doing so much damage as well. RF bursting into the back line, taking them down, and Misfits taking this one to a game 5 as they now start to clear in. Golden Glue getting cleared out. The members getting taken down, but this is Misfits ending the game in dominant fashion. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to a game 5.
And really it was on the confidence of Alberto Crumbs and RF Legendary. 6-1-3 on that Aurelia scoreline, shown time and time again that is his comfort